Clifford Odia's presentation of the report of the Committee on Local and Foreign Debt on the 2016 to 2018 Federal Government External Borrowing Rolling Plan. Senate President Ahmad Lawan, while giving an insight into the loan, explained that the loan was intended to finance the nation's capital budget, while he stressed that the Senate would strictly follow up on how the executive arm of government used the loan. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress APC in Bayelsa State has condemned moves by the state governor Doyediri to secure 2.9 billion naira loan to buy official vehicles. This follows the State House of Assembly approval of the loan request by a motion moved by the leader of the House, Monday Bobo Obolo, who said the proposed facility had repayment tenure of 36 months. The APC, in a statement by its State Publicity Secretary, Diofie Bokoribo, described the governor's loan request as unsympathetic and ungodly. Responding, the State Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Osom Makbere, recalled a similar case of the APC, while waiting to be sworn in the state, had already taken an 8 billion naira loan for the purchase of cars for persons not yet accorded official portfolios. The Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, has disclosed that the outbreak of coronavirus may slow down the completion of the Lagos-Ibadan rail project. The minister said the delay may not be unconnected to the fact that the bulk of the workforce handling the project is stuck in China, stating that the Chinese government has prevented some of the workers from returning to Nigeria because of the virus. The minister, while explaining that the government was still test running the rail tracks, noted that the government would deploy 10 coaches each to the Lagos-Ibadan and Abuja-Kaduna rail lines to ease passenger movement. This is news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Let's now talk some pension and labor stories around the world. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, has said that the federal government will soon stop the salaries of its workers not captured on the Integrated Personnel Payroll Information System IPPIS. She made this known in Kano at the 2020 Management Retreat organized by the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation for Treasury, Directors of Finance and Accounts and Directors of Internal Audit. Ahmed, who also said the IPPIS scheme is one of the federal government's reform initiatives designed to achieve a centralized payroll system, stated that the federal government had approved the posting of Treasury directors from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation to revenue-generating agencies as directors of revenue. According to report, President Muhammadu Buhari had directed the Finance Ministry to ensure that all employees of the federal government were enrolled on the IPPIS platform. On his part, the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, added that out of the 94,990 university workers so far enrolled, about 8,146 were academic staff, while the balance of 86,844 were non-academic staff. Despite federal government's seeming silence on the move to borrow 2 trillion naira from the 10 trillion naira pension fund to develop the nation's infrastructure, reactions have hardly stopped trailing that earlier declaration. The move by the government has continued to receive criticism in different quarters. Our correspondent, Yetunde Oke, sought the views of stakeholders on the development. Her report.
Pension funds are collective investment undertakings that manage employee savings and retirement. The primary objective is to provide pensioners who have reached retirement age with income in form of a lifetime pension or capital. It is a retirement plan where an employee adds money into a fund that include contributions by the employer. And the workers' pension payments are determined by the length of the employee's working years and the annual income they earn on the job leading up to retirement. Recall that the federal government expressed its intention to borrow 2 trillion trillion naira from the current 10 trillion naira pension funds to finance the development of infrastructure. How are those to be affected? Talking about pensioners taking these, some executive members of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners (NUP) speak. Southwest chairman of the NUP, who doubles as the Ekiti State Council chairman, Elder Ayo Kikumapai, said the pension fund is set aside for pensioners as life savings, wondering what will happen if it is not returned after borrowing.
We're very careful because the pension fund is money set aside for pensioners to use. We are not very particularly happy about the money being used because there's possibility of the money not being returned. So, and if it's not returned, who suffers? The affected pensioners who that's their life savings. We don't particularly buy that idea.
The acting chairman of the NUP, Oyo State Council, Comrade Abolade Isiaka, buttressed on the fact that if the federal government still owns arrears and gratuity, why should it think of dipping hands into the pension funds, appealing to the government to seek fund somewhere else?
This is a money meant for pensioners. This is when the federal government, they are still owing a lot of pensioners their gratuity, and then this on at least a pensioners fund. It shouldn't be. They have not settled all the pensioners, whether the federal and the state level.
On his part, Comrade Olusegun Abaton, the Secretary NUP Oyo State Council, who gave the reason behind the contributory pension scheme, appeals to the federal government not to even contemplate the idea.
The reason behind the contributory pension scheme by those that put it down is to dip hands in the money of pensioners. It is quite unfortunate that in the build-up to the contributory pension scheme, the head of state then, Olusegun Obasanjo, who is very averse to trade unionism, knew what he was doing, and he knows that by having these people under a contributory pension scheme, they wouldn't have any voice. We want to appeal to government, if they have not done it, to stop dipping their hands in the sweat, in the contributions of retired personnel. If they want money, they should go elsewhere, find money.
Some pensioners in the state also bear their minds.
Ordinarily, the pension funds are not expected to be sitting for. They are funds that are utilized for developmental and economic purposes. And that should be yielding profits and dividends so that the fund can grow. Whether the president dipping his hand into his a reliable investment option is a question to be answered. I doubt it.
There is nothing bad, but the problem is the retirees, they are suffering in silence. And if anything to stop their gratuity or pension either, it will not go well. And then Buhari, he wants to spend the money for the generality of the public as well. And in a crossroad.
It is hoped that with all this plea, the federal government will have a rethink on the issue. Yetunde Oke for Pensioners FM.
The lower house of the French Parliament has approved an overhaul of the country's pension system, clearing a major hurdle for one of President Emmanuel Macron's signature reforms. The law passed recently after two no-confidence votes introduced by the opposition failed against Macron's centrist majority. Centrist President Macron's plan to replace France's professional pension schemes with a single national scheme has sparked weeks of strikes and protests. Trade unions and opposition parties slammed the move as anti-democratic, but their calls for fresh protests against a bill that triggered the longest French transport strike in decades fell largely on deaf ears. You're still on to news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Ibadan. Now to other stories. Zimbabwe has expressed dismay